Welcome to the Fat Fueled Family Podcast, where every week we talk about things like nutrition, training,
how to live a healthy and active lifestyle with your little ones, peaceful parenting, education,
and of course, mindset.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Keto Counterculture, at Fat Fueled Mom, and at Fat Fueled Kids, and search for Fat Fueled Family on YouTube.
To stay up to date with everything we're doing, sign up with your email at www.fatfueled.family and check out our blog for workouts, meal ideas, and all the other cool stuff we love to talk about.
Don't forget to hit subscribe.
Hi.
I'm like yawning over here. Hi, drinking my coffee.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good today, actually.
We gotta liven this up. I feel really tired, and I just drank my coffee, so I'm good.
Don't worry, we'll get lively in here because we're going to talk about so controversial.
Well, it's just something that we both love so much, so we're both going to get passionate for sure. And I guess disclaimer at the beginning, if your feelings get hurt, well, I don't really know what to say.
Well, look, just this is what we think, and this is our process on how we came to have these opinions. And we're just sharing it with you guys because we didn't have these at one time and we heard it somewhere else.
We were wrong.
And it opened our eyes and our mind to something different.
And every time we learned something new, we totally accept the fact that we had it wrong. I mean, that's life, you know?
That's life. That's just learning. It's fine. No big deal. Do what you want with this information. I think it's just good in general. I still even really love to hear opposite point of view sometimes, just because I want to really just see people's thought process. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting because it's easy to see like the outer result, like, you know, oh, this person, whatever, thinks that, but you don't know how they came to think about that. So sometimes people can have different beliefs than me. And then when they explain themselves to me, I actually can see where they're coming from, even though we still agree to disagree in the end.
Yep.
It's just good to see where people are coming.
Yep.
It changes things for sure. So just be open-minded. That's all.
Before we continue, obviously we should mention that we're going to be talking about our parenting philosophy today.
Parenting philosophy.
But first we should talk about, we had a little piece of news last time talking about, you know, what happened, you know, a month ago with our son. And now we have a new piece of news. What's that?
Well, it's your news. Share it.
I officially quit my job.
Yay.
That's it. We're homeless.
We're homeless. We're living in a ditch.
I'm super
He's
excited.
So irresponsible.
I'm really excited that my wife, when I told her, when it was really getting weird, not weird, but real.
Weird.
It is weird.
It is kind of weird.
But when it was getting real, you know, she less and less, you've had less stress on your face. And that's easy to tell with you because every time I talk to you, you're a cartoon. So you're very animated. And I could tell.
The mueca machine gun? Do I remember that?
Yeah, mueca machine gun. So mueca is, in Spanish, it's...
facial expression.
Facials, like faces. Like
making faces, right.
Yeah, and I called it the mueca machine gun because she could do like several faces within.
Is there a
like
record? Because I want to break it. Like, is there a record for most facial expressions in like a minute?
I've seen, actually,
because I could break it.
They're not even minute. They're like 5
seconds. Yeah, for sure.
You know, when you
I can say an entire story. Like, if I'm mad at you, you'll know.
And if you know
without
what
words.
They all stand for, like, you can literally just say, wow, she just hit me with anger, judgment, hatred,
resentment,
and all
pure
of that
disgust
at the same time. So she hasn't been hitting me with that, and that's good for me because as a man, I need to know that, you know, my wife
stands beside him.
Yeah, and trusts me.
Right. And here's the thing. I'm a realist. So, and I'm also, you know, the one that's in charge of our finances and all that stuff. And so there was one time where Danny thought this was a possibility and it just wasn't the right time. And thank God for me.
Well, not thank God for you because I thought it right away when I was
right. Of course. It's not like you fought me on it. I was like, listen up, buddy. This is the deal.
I had a goal.
Let's be honest.
And I had a projection to that goal, and the projection just did not even live to its
Right. And I had a feeling about it. And here's the thing. When it comes to intuitive stuff, Danny should trust me, because am I or am I not, one, right about people that I meet? Yeah. Or I'm also like the only one who can intuitive eat around here, obviously. No, Danny's doing really good, actually. He's probably doing better than me. I don't know. Maybe not.
Right around the same. But this week,
I have my moments.
This week, we're tightening up even more. Just the stricter we are on carnivore, the better. It doesn't even matter how much we eat, what the portions are.
Or the fat or any of that, or the cuts. Honestly,
we can get
when
that.
I'm strict,
we can figure that out later. But for us, is just transitioning back to carnivore
and eliminating all the other stuff.
Yeah, it's just the thing is that we have a ton of stuff people send to us, and it's really delicious stuff. Like we have F-bombs, we have, Keto Geeks, energy pods.
I'm good with F-bombs though. So
we have peely nut butter. And I mean, notice all three of these things are pretty much like nut butters, which
I can do good with, as long as there's not, once we have some of the added ingredients, my body, and trust me, it's not a cool thing and I don't like it. I want to eat these things. They are delicious.
Yep.
And I don't find anything wrong with them. But for me, I mean, I just can't deny headaches and things that occur to me, that happen to me immediately upon eating certain things.
Yep.
So that's just where we're at. So we're trying to tighten up with carnivore, and we've been doing pretty good. I still do have my F-bombs because I do fine with those. And like those don't hinder my progress. So I'm a nutty carnivore, as Keto Geek says. Nutty carnivore.
But the funny thing is that we just got our shipment of Keto Geek ghee, which is amazing. We get it every month. And then in the same box was 8 energy pods that I thought was the order that I placed, because we had all these little bucks that we get from ordering stuff.
Oh, yes.
And then I got in my email that energy pods are headed our way for delivery.
So those were just ones that
Fahad threw in, because he's awesome. He might have given it to us. And he was like,
okay, Danny, well, guess what? Why don't you save those for your kids, Danny?
I do save them for my kids.
Oh, really? Where are they?
I put them up there.
Away from the kids.
Right now. Yeah. Because once they, you know how they are, once they get into them, they want like 2 a day. And it's just like that money just flying out the window.
Well, those were free. So
those might have been free. We don't know yet. But I want you guys to know before, one more thing. I just want to, since we're on the subject of Fahad, he writes notes with every shipment that he puts out. And I think it's such a nice personal touch. And on the note that he wrote this time, he was saying, congratulations on quitting your job.
He's so awesome.
So I love him. He's an amazing person.
Probably one of my favorite.
We're not even affiliates or any crap like that with him.
Top people that I know.
He is.
I also just really like people that are like so
open
and just dynamic and like interesting, and like he's got the stash going. Like he's giving me those like, vibes of like, just artsy. I don't know.
Yeah, Mara loves
he's
that.
just
she
like out there. He does yoga. He does yoga. I'm like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah, and now
I'm in.
I do
life.
Yoga. Your husband does yoga.
You actually have been doing way more than me these days.
Yeah, everything's all weird.
Yeah,
you were more of a carnivore than me for several months. I was doing yoga. I don't. Those two things, if you take them like without context, it sounds like I'm turning into like a beta male, but I'm not. Still an alpha.
No, he's still an alpha.
So let's talk about parenting, and let's.
Disclaimer, guys, we are not perfect at any of these things.
Oh, man.
We actually fail quite often.
We do.
At these things, and that's okay. I think the most important part, and it's also part of our philosophy, is to just take responsibility when you do mess up, especially in front of your children, and apologize when you're wrong. And that can also be a very useful tool and lesson for your kids, because it shows them that, one, adults are not these perfect people, because I think that is an actual problem. When when parents portray that image, like we're the adults, we're always right, you're wrong, do as I say, not as I do, then it also gives the message that adults are perfect. So there's no more learning then, right? When you become an adult, that's not true.
Yeah. And here's another thing you just made me, because I'm very much focused right now on authenticity.
Being authentic, yeah.
Yeah, because I really do think that is the key to happiness, and that is the key to fixing the world. If people were their true, authentic selves, they would care about themselves, because most people who don't care about others do not care about themselves.
So you can't take
so
it.
if you were to care and value yourself and be your true version of yourself, and if you are your true version of yourself, that means you love who you are.
Right.
You will care about the environment. You care about the people around you. And so when you put out
people's behavior can just show you whether they care about themselves.
Yeah. And when you put out this whole thing of like, I'm perfect and I'm the ultimate authority, your kid will probably figure it out anywhere by the age of 6 to 9 that you're full of crap.
Absolutely.
And you're being fake. And then they, on top of the other things that we're going to talk about, because children are having anxiety, they're having depression at super young ages. And a huge part of that, a lot of it is school, but a lot of it is also the parents putting unrealistic expectations on their children.
And their stresses.
And making them think that who they are now is not good enough. And they have to prepare to be this future version of themselves that's really good. And so what do? To please their parents and to gain their parents' love, they make a fake version of themselves. And that's where it starts.
Wow, that's so good. That's
deep. You have to be authentic.
That's deep.
So
that's really good. You got that from the book, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not there yet.
Well, let's talk about, because what we want for our children, that's where you start. Because if you start from a wrong premise, in my opinion, in our opinion, both, you are going to be failed from the beginning. Because if what you want for your child is you want your child to be a successful person who is, a successful organist or, artist or something, but it's what you love, it's not what they love, then you're already failed from the beginning.
And we do that as parents a lot. Like, we try to basically live vicariously through them. Yep. And like all the things that we never got to do, or all the things that we wanted to do,
or even the things that we did. Like, before my boys were born and before I really got to know, you don't know what parenting is until you're a parent. You just don't.
Sorry.
And you're learning the whole time.
A dog is not a child. Sorry.
I'm like,
so sorry.
If I have a son, he's playing football. If I have 2 sons, they're both playing football.
I'm like, what if he likes the piano?
Now I'm like, first of all, traumatic brain injuries, huge thing.
Yeah, football's not my fave, honestly.
If one of them begs me to play, if one of them really wants to play, I'm going to support that decision, because
of course, absolutely, because we support them. And then we just take these risks into account and prepare.
Plus
we still love football.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, so just
start with,
here's really quick. So, just elaborating on that real quick, just your kid is not an accessory. They're not like a ring on your finger, something that you're hashtag so proud of, because a lot of times we do that. And it's like the kid didn't even really care that much. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they are not bling. They're not an accessory. And they're not something to show off to others to prove some way that you are worth something. Because really that's what you're doing when you do those types of things and you try to show off. And look, hey, I do a humble brag every now and then.
But I'll admit it though.
But I'll admit it. But
this is a not so humble brag.
Yeah, but some of these postings are just like, your kid does not look happy.
Well, you know what it is? It's in the West. Here's another thing from the book that you're going to love. In the West, we're very obsessed with standing out. Everything is about being unique and being this like standout character.
And I like that.
Well, the thing is, it all depends on your child.
And it depends on the child.
What if your child doesn't want to stand out?
I don't. Yeah.
In the East, the culture is more the opposite. Like, they're obsessed with not standing out, and both of them are wrong if the child is not that way.
Right.
So we're like here trying to make these unique. Our kid is so special. We're focused on, you have to be. My baby can read, all this ridiculous stuff. I can't deal with it, honestly. If you're not ahead of everyone else, then you're not. Your kid is not special, and your kid is not.
I truly don't care if your baby can read. Your baby, it is. Here's the thing: you can get any human, monkey, gorilla, elephant. You can get any animal to be conditioned to do something and to memorize a pattern. Like, I just can't deal with, my baby's a genius, my baby can read. No, you sat your poor child in front of a TV showing them these my baby can read things over and over. Can they feed themselves? Can they wipe their butt? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, do they know? Are they starting to get a sense of who they are? Because that's what
they're babies. Are they going to go into college? They need to read. So whatever, just these are the types of things. And that's personal preference. Look, I have nothing against learning. Of course, if your child is interested, but like, I'm talking about the braggy McBragsters that are like, my baby is so smart. My baby's such a genius. He walked when he was 9 months. Yeah, a lot of babies do that, and that doesn't have anything to do with how smart you are.
A lot of babies walk at 18 months and are fine too.
Just like some children read when they're 2, or some children read when they're 9. It doesn't mean that one is a better reader when they're 15. Nobody cares.
Well, and maybe that one is a better reader, but again, it doesn't make them better.
Or smarter.
Yeah, or smarter, because that's the thing that people are going to notice. I think with this episode, what people are going to notice a lot is that their children are much sweeter and kinder and better humans than they think. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things we're going to talk about is how we want to highlight all the good stuff. We want to highlight, oh, wow, you're being such a good brother. You care about your brother. I see that.
But in an authentic way, not just good job.
Yeah, no, not good job, no.
The worst.
All we're doing when you're talking about that is just noticing the behavior that they're doing that you actually think is sweet and highlighting it. And some parents, us included, I'm sure, if we weren't conscious about this, we would probably say, no, my kid doesn't do these things at all. My kid's not good. My kid's not nice. But if you're going to see children are so innocent and they're so good. If you pay attention, you can see several chances in a day where they're displaying these things. So let's talk about, first of all, before we get into it, let's talk about what we want for our children. We'll talk about ours and
our goals,
and who we hope they, who we wish for them to be. And then we can talk about, what other ways people can get caught up in the wrong way to look at that. And then we'll get into like kind of our philosophy. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So, you want me to do this?
Yeah, I want to say something about it, but I want you to read that.
Okay. So what I was going to say is like our 2 main goals, and I don't know, we kind of came up with this like in a conversation at some point, and we just were like, Maura and I have these conversations. It could be like in the car when the kids are asleep. It could be these rare occasions when we're having talks and we get deep.
It was most likely like 6 years ago where we had these conversations.
Yeah, it was probably like a ride back from Miami or something like that. Or just,
6 years ago. We don't have conversations anymore unless it's dinner. Yeah. And then I like write it on my notes. Like we're at Council Oak, like nice steakhouse. And I'm like, we need light bulbs.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time to talk to my husband. Well, not that my kids. Exactly. You know how kids are. They don't let you get a word in.
I think it's just, it started with like what we see as a problem and then how we could change that with our boys. So like what we see is like, kids don't know who they are. Kids don't know what they love. And then we're like, that's what we want. We want our kids to know who they are. And if you know who you are, then you can love who you are and you could be authentic and you could be who you truly are meant to be. And then know what you love.
Right.
Kids don't have time to know what they love. Like if you ask them, it's just...
You don't need to ask them. Just ask any freshman college student what they're studying. I don't know.
Or even know. But if you ask them what they're studying, they'll know. They just don't know what they love. Is that really what they love?
Most of them
don't have a passion for accounting. Is that, is that really what you're... Or is that, that your parents told you had to be an accountant? Nothing against
accountants.
So that's the thing.
You can totally choose that.
We don't spend time on really, really paying attention to our kids. And this is, again, I feel like I'm going to have to apologize the whole time. I'm not going to apologize anymore, but this all comes down to you. So just know when you're listening to this, listener, that this is going to be for you. If you're a parent, it's going to hurt a little bit. It's going to sting a little bit.
And that's okay. It hurts me too. It hurts me when I hear these things. Yeah. I'm constantly trying.
She tells me things that I hate to hear. Sometimes I tell her things that she hates to hear. But as long as maybe we're pissed off at the moment, but always like a few hours later, I'll come back to her and say, look, you're right. Or the same thing. She'll do the same thing with me. But you have to know who you are and you have to know what you love. And we don't spend time on that. And sometimes we'll even be like, what do you love? As parents, and then the kid starts talking and then we just don't even pay attention.
Yeah.
So that's what we love. And then I wanted to get this quote from Dr. Shefali Sabari, she wrote The Awakened Parent. And I loved this. So I think we're going to definitely we should put this on our philosophy page because I think this is that good. My goal as a parent is to raise a child who is firmly rooted in who he is. She has a daughter, but I changed it to boys because we have boys. Certain of his inherent worth, able to express himself with authenticity, grounded in his relationship with me. So
should print that out and put it somewhere.
That relationship, our relationship grounds our children. If that is the case, then
relationship is everything. Then.
It's everything, because most kids right now their parents are the main cause of stress in their life.
Yeah.
Like, dude, absolutely. You brought this thing into the world. It did not ask to get brought into this world.
And that's what I have. And I have
stressing the heck out of it.
And I have to remind myself of this on a daily basis.
Seriously,
because
she's reminded me before too.
I am a stressed out person. Again, it's just something that I have to heal from. I'm a stressed out person. I'm a high strung person. I'm a reactive person. And it's just something that I need to learn. And and that's what I tell myself all the time is, first of all, my child did not ask to be born. So I am the one that brought it into this stressful world. And so it's my job to, be there for him or her. And the truth is, which is going to get into the next part of our parenting, the next part that we're going to focus on is, every amazing parenting book that I've ever read focuses on me and my behavior. Because if you focus on the child's behavior, they are a child. And most of the time, that behavior is age appropriate. And you're the one that is having an adult temper tantrum, which is not age appropriate.
And it's stemming from your
ego and your ego.
Expectations that are just unrealistic.
Unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic things from the child. If you tell the kid, wow, this is good, but I don't think it lives up to your true potential. I think you can do better because blah, blah, blah. Imagine someone telling you that.
Yeah.
How would you feel if someone told you that? And this is your parent. This is the person who you look up to the most right now in your life. They are the number one role model for you. And they're telling you, it's not good because you have a lot more potential versus, like focusing on the positive and focusing on what you like about it. Now, if it's
Let's give an example though.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Finish what you were going to say.
I was going to say, if it's work and it's right and wrong things, then no, we're not saying to be this, flower power, hippie parent that doesn't live in reality. But there's a big difference between that and what most of us default to doing, which is
yelling, criticizing. And I do these things. We all do these things. We are not exempt. Sarcasm.
And then guess what? We find our kids are sarcastic with us. We
our
find
kids have an attitude.
Yeah.
Oh, our kids have an attitude. I hear that all the time. Well, what about your attitude? Do you get what I'm saying? So it always starts with us. It always starts with our reactions to stuff, our unrealistic expectations. And here's like an example. And here's something that helps me, honestly, looking at my child as not a science experiment, but just like in a scientific way that helps me become detached emotionally from it. So, for example, my 3-year-old or even 4-year-old, I know for a fact, this is just facts about life, that his or her prefrontal cortex is not developed properly, which is the part that is responsible for managing emotions. However, they have a huge and developed amygdala, which is responsible for those emotions.
And all of us live in a very amygdala driven mentality, even as adults. We haven't even figured it out.
So those children are going to have big emotions without an ability to regulate them. So when my 3-year-old or 4-year-old or 2-year-old is throwing a tantrum, why am I surprised? Why? That's your first mistake. Why are you surprised? This is age-appropriate behavior. Children throw tantrums. Obviously, there are limits within those tantrums, like 2 hours, and all, that's not okay. Right. And that's different. However, but once we start stop crying, stop doing this, get up.
Don't be yourself. That's basically what you're telling them.
And not just that, you're telling them that what they're feeling doesn't matter. You're going to teach them to suppress those emotions. And honestly, that just turns out, and it comes out in different uglier forms later. So instead, we're not saying ignore your child. We never want to neglect them. But and we're going to put all these books in the notes, all of our favorite books from, one of them is How to Raise an Emotionally Intelligent Child by John Gottman. And he talks about this, you have to emotion coach your child. These are opportunities that you should take as a chance. You're ooh, okay, my kid's going to learn right now. This is an awesome learning
and having that attitude helps too.
Opportunity. And you know what? Forget about whatever anyone in Costco thinks of you. I don't really care about anyone. If they look at me weird, you know what? They should go get their self sorted out, because they obviously don't understand children, and they must have never been a child themselves who never had a tantrum. So they can literally leave my face.
I've had Maura was out of the restaurant when this happened. Cracker Barrel's.
I know, I remember. I've told people my fair share of opinions.
Dean he was 2. He was having a really bad tantrum, and there was a woman, an elderly woman, must have been a grandmother or something, with a person with Down syndrome.
This also happened to me in the movie theater, remember?
And yeah,
same exact situation.
And Dean was kicking and screaming, and I was just trying to hold him and take him out of the restaurant quietly. And this lady gives me a face.
Yeah, like, control your child.
And I was just like, the only thing, it's funny because I have so much vitriol inside of me that I can spit out, and when the time comes, the niceness just
leaves.
No, it didn't come out. It didn't come out. I stayed nice. I was like, he's having a very bad day. That's all I said. Instead of like, you should know better.
That's what I told Mom that I came and encountered with at the movie theater.
At 1 p.m. showing where the kids are running around and the aisles, and it's an empty theater, and it's a kids movie, and she's like,
I don't even care. Honestly, I don't even want to focus on that. But what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so just realize that there are certain behaviors that are age appropriate. Also don't put yourselves in these situations. Like, if I don't have a lot of time, I'm not going to take my kids to the grocery store, because I know that everything that I do with them takes at least 45 minutes to an hour longer, because they don't stop talking to me, which is appropriate behavior for children. So, if I do that and I'm like, I'm going to go to Sprouts in a hurry right now, I'm already in a hurry. And so any little thing that they do is going to bother the crap out of me. And then of course, they're going to have a tantrum, because that's how it is. And so that's the thing. So, don't have unrealistic expectations, and just get to know child development, research child development, familiarize yourself with age appropriate behaviors, so that way when it comes up, you're not surprised.
Again, this is all, I hope that what we share is going to help others realize that this is going to make you a better person. It's going to make you a happier person.
It's going to make your family happier.
Yeah, because you're getting better.
It's going to help your relationship with your children. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes to be at odds with their kids. It feels horrible. It's so honestly depressing. And I know it is for any parent. And even if you're yelling and stuff, and I yell, man, that's one of my downfalls, like just yelling and not staying and not calming down. And I hate it. I feel so bad about it. So I don't like to do that. And I know you guys don't either. So let's talk a little bit now about, which Dr. Laura Markham talks a lot about this. She has an awesome website. It's called AHA Parenting, just like it sounds. She has amazing books. Google her, Dr. Laura Markham. She talks a lot about connection and not the actual behavior, because when our children are displaying these not so nice behaviors, there's usually a reason. There's usually a need that's not being met. And she even talks about, which I actually love, and I've actually implemented this, which is a really good way to avoid meltdowns, is a planned meltdown. So she actually talks about, like, if you see that your kid is like, you know when it's coming. Like, I know when Dean's going to have a meltdown. Like, if I know that I want to go to Target later, and Dean's, man, he's due for a meltdown, man, I'm going to just like make that thing come out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these feelings. Let's, we just, and I forget how exactly she goes about this. I'm sure it's different for every age. Definitely go on her website and just plan meltdown. If you just type that in, I'm sure you'll find stuff. But, you can already see when a kid is just allowed to, and even for us as adults, sometimes I just need to cry.
Well, and let me just also add, because so many insights that I've gotten from meditating and stuff lately, and the guided meditations that I do, the importance of allowing uncomfortable emotions into your mind and for you to entertain them, for you to face them directly. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what you're doing with them. And so we're actually like
bringing that to the
coaching,
surface.
We're emotion coaching kids to know that, you know what? It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to get sad.
Now, it's not okay to hit. There are things that are not okay.
Things that people do sometimes when they're angry and they're sad.
And that's where the coaching comes in, you know?
Because we've said things that, listen, I said something I didn't mean, and I said it because I was angry. It doesn't make it okay, but I'm sorry. And we apologize.
And I want you to know I was wrong.
Yeah.
And that's wrong.
And your brother, if your brother's telling you that he hates you or that he doesn't love you, he wants a new brother, which all those things have been
happen
said.
And they happen in everyone's house, I'm sure.
We will say either during or after, we will say that's not true. He's angry. And usually the brother comes back and says, that wasn't true. I was angry. So we're talking about it's the connection, not the behavior. Some of the things that we've done that have been harder for me at times than others, but I think I've been pretty good at it lately, is trying to figure out what's really going on. Like what need is not being met. This is the conventional wisdom with parenting is all focused on the child and all focused on behavior. So everybody's like, focus on the child. Even parents within peaceful parenting may fall into this where they're focused on the child and they can say to themselves, well, why would I focus on myself? Because first of all, you're the adult. They're learning from you. And so
every bad habit my kid has is me, for sure.
And lately I've been trying to make a point of identifying when they do that. Look what they got from us. That's another thing they got from us.
Take responsibility.
Yeah. And we don't say that
now,
to them. We don't
that's
say
not everyone. It's actually more applicable to me because my kids are home with me all day. So I actually don't have anyone else to blame.
But when Dean talks to his teeth like this when he's angry, he got that from me. Because sometimes I'll be like, Dean, I'm telling you, like, I'm trying not to scream and I'm grinding my teeth. Like all. But
he does the same thing. It's hilarious, actually.
It's like and if you can notice it, then maybe you could laugh a little bit and realize that look at what you're doing to your kids. Stop. Okay, stop. You're hurting them.
Yeah, stop.
So
you're transferring these bad habits to them.
We are truly focused on connection, not behavior. So when we talk about that, we say, we tell them what they're feeling so they can be like, oh yeah, I am angry. You're angry right now.
We don't dismiss bad behavior in the sense of like
no
violence and stuff like that. And we're gonna get into rules in a second because I think that's the next thing we should talk about. So the connection comes first. You don't go straight to, just like reprimanding or condemning because right there you just lost them.
Shut them off.
You shut them off. They're not going to listen to anything you have to say.
When she does it to me, I'm just like, I'm done.
So for example, let's give an actual real life example.
Let's try to think something in the last couple of days.
Okay, so I'm going to just make it up because it's probably something that's happened a million times. Let's say Dean hits his brother because whatever the reason is, okay? There's probably a reason, and then Desmond also probably has a reason. There's going to be two sides to the story. So you always go to the injured child first. Unfortunately, so sorry, but are you okay? Yeah. Give them what they need. And then you go to the other child and you can either take them aside and then I'll ask him what happened because I'll get his side of the story. You know what I mean? Because he has his side of the story as well. And he didn't just hit for no reason. He probably got upset or something.
But sometimes there's like, you could have a child that has sensory issues.
Sometimes he does hit for no reason.
That happens to us with Desmond. It happened with, what was it? What did he bite? The biting period?
He didn't do it for very long, honestly.
Yeah, it was a very short biting period with Dean.
Especially now that I have Dean.
He pulled Desmond's hair this weekend. He pulled his hair. He actually took some hair out.
Yeah, super unacceptable. And so, a lot of times they need a break. So we talk about taking time. Look, me and Danny need breaks sometimes. Like, it's better sometimes just to take time because everyone calms down and then you can come back and talk about it. In the heat of the moment, nobody wants to talk. People want to yell. People want to win.
Yeah.
And that's that. That's just the human nature. So address ask for their side of the story. I'll ask Dean for his side of the story. I'll find out exactly what happened and then, let him know whether or not he had a reason to be angry, that it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to hit others. We never hit. And that is something that is off limits for everyone. So let's get into our 2 rules.
Well, before we get into the 2 rules, let me just say, you just mentioned an interaction between the siblings, which is super important and it's applicable to us right now. But even an interaction between the parent and the child, one of the things that you'll want to do is you'll want to say, what am I doing that's bothering you, and what can I do to help you and make you not feel the way you're feeling? Because, and a lot of the times when it's a younger child, they're not going to know the answer.
But for Desmond, for example, like I am sarcastic Sally. Just call me sarcastic Sally. Like I'm a woman. It's just in my blood. We don't have the physical strength. So I truly believe God blessed us with our ability to use words, and I can spit some venom. So I don't want to do that, but it is my knee-jerk reaction to be super sarcastic, to be super, feisty with my words. And that's, again, my ego and me trying to make up for a lack of and it's probably just like primal, honestly.
It's, well, you
because I feel like in general, women are more...
that you
and I have my own baggage,
your own upbringing, and
right.
I have mine,
and we all have it. We all have it. There's nothing.
We have to actually heal from it. We do.
We have to heal from our own baggage, from our upbringing, because we're gonna just project it all onto our kids.
I had amazing parents. They did some things that probably made me the angry person that I am. And I totally accept it, and I love them all the same. And if they're listening,
same.
There's nothing.
Nobody's perfect.
Their feelings are gonna get hurt. Like, oh my gosh, because
no, they shouldn't. Because guess what? Everybody does the best that they can with the information that they have, and I wouldn't change it.
Exactly. So now you can go to the rules.
Okay, so rules. Do we have rules? Honestly, I wish we didn't have to have any, but there has to be some kind of rules. I feel like too many rules is just total overkill. And then they lose their power, just like the word no. And I'll get into that later. Let's remind me to talk about no, because that's not in the notes. So we don't do an overkill of rules because I don't want it to be, dismissed. And when you have too many rules, that's how it is. It's just too many rules. Can't even remember them. I don't even know all our rules in America. So many rules, like stupid rules, like a lot of silly rules that it's like, what? Okay. So we have two rules that we stole from someone who I think stole them from someone else. And maybe that person stole it from someone else.
You know what? We have to say who we stole them from, because
I stole them from Anna Martin.
Hear her, and she's one of our closest friends, and we love her so much. When you meet her on the podcast, you're going to just fall in love with her. She's an amazing person. She just really is. We love her so much, and she's a huge influence. And she definitely stole them from someone else.
Yeah. So
that's what she says, I think.
So we only have two rules, and I honestly, with these two rules, I honestly feel like if these two rules were just followed by everyone on planet Earth, we wouldn't need more rules. So it kind of covers a lot of stuff. Pretty much covers it all. Yeah. So our number one rule is do not encroach on the person or property of another. Period. The end. Never, never know.
Now, we use these words, but when we explain them to a young child, we'll say, don't mess with someone's body or their stuff.
Or take their stuff.
Or do anything with their stuff.
Right.
Throw it. That's
you don't
where
take
your
or
property
mess
as a parent,
or damage.
Yeah. That's where and then,
that takes care of hitting and stealing.
Screaming, which hurts our ears.
That takes care of,
Snatching.
anything snatching other people's stuff, destruction of property, stealing. And then our second rule is do all that you've agreed to do.
Which means keep your word.
Just keep your word. Keep your promises. If you said you were going to do something, do it. And here's the kicker, guys. Me and Danny have those same rules, and we need to follow those rules. So if you want to be a member of our family in good standing, follow these rules, bro. Or I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, you want me to help you find another family? Not as a threat, but just listen, do you like our family? Okay, well, if you want to be part of our family, these are the rules, okay? Yeah. Because that's how we keep it chill.
And the consequences are real consequences. We don't, one of the things, let's talk about what you said the other day, if that's okay. I don't want to put you on blast. I've done it a million times, okay? What was it that you threatened the other day to take away?
What was I going to take away?
The swords that Yeah.
Yeah, because of myself, I was upset that I had bought them something.
But that was
but actually, it wasn't. I didn't even buy it. It was Desmond gave me the money, and then I wanted to return it because they were acting like fools. And of course, that wasn't right.
And Desmond called you out.
And Desmond called me out. And you know what? He should call me out. And that's the type of relationship we have here, where my kids can call me out, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. It does, but you know what? He was right, and I shouldn't threaten.
Yeah.
So we don't threaten. And okay, so let's talk about, those are our rules. All right, what if someone doesn't follow the rules? Consequences. We are all for natural consequences versus fake consequences that don't have anything to do with anything. So what is an example of a fake consequence?
Spanking is the biggest one.
If I don't behave, Danny doesn't spank me or hit me.
There's so many jokes right now.
I know, and I set myself up for it, but I'm going to just keep talking because I can't even deal with my husband, who's like a teenager. Anyways. Okay. Man. I'm so sorry, guys. I hope this isn't offensive, but I really am not okay, and it makes me so unbearably uncomfortable when I see children being spanked. It hurts my entire being because, one, the child is acting appropriately, and we don't. Remember rule number 1? We don't hit.
Yes. Wait, before you continue, I want to just put a tiny disclaimer.
Unless, why?
I'm going to say that you have friends, you can think of several, who are really good people, who are, for instance, Christians and reading the Bible in a certain way, because a lot of what the Bible can be read one way or another way. It's just doctrine.
That's all interpretation.
How things go.
I feel like it's interpretation.
And they are coming from a place of love, but we don't do that.
I don't do that, right?
So I just wanted to continue before. We're not judging them, because I can tell you right now that these parents love their kids. And I've had this conversation with my son
who have been spanked.
He talks badly about people who spank their kids. And I'm like, listen, in their minds, they are coming from a place of love. And there are places in the Bible, in the Old Testament, that talk about it. And if you read those verses, you can read 50 different versions, and you'll read them all, and you can interpret them the way you want.
So many different ways.
I choose to interpret them one way. For instance, the rod, the whole thing about sparing the rod. The rod is actually what a shepherd uses to guide his sheep. He doesn't hit his sheep. He guides them in the right direction so that they stay on the right path. Now, you can take that as hit your child with the rod, but we choose not to.
Okay. We choose not to. And here's why. There's actually research on this, guys. So I just want to share this with you guys, because maybe you didn't know. And I know that even those who spank their children, there's no way that it doesn't feel kind of, it's gotta, I don't know. I feel like it might feel wrong for most people. Some people it doesn't. And those people, honestly, I don't know. But
there's got to be something inside that makes you feel like, at the very least, you're saying, you know what, this feels weird, but I know that I'm doing the right thing because I'm giving them discipline and blah, blah, blah.
Right. Okay. So here's and I'm just going to read from an article, and I will link it. There have actually been studies on this, and the sad irony is that the more you physically punish your children for their lack of self-control, the less they have. They learn how to be controlled by external forces, parents, teachers, and bosses. But when the boss isn't looking, then what? And that is my point. I think spanking is effective. I do, because I think it...
At managing behaviors.
At managing the behavior in the moment quickly. Yeah. Now, I don't think it teaches the underlying lesson, which is why a lot of children that are disciplined this way will do it behind their parents' back.
And they're not getting that self-regulation that they need.
They're not self-regulating. And also, let's say you hit a kid for hitting. Like, I just don't see how that's a good lesson. How is it okay for you to hit me and then I can't hit someone else? You know what I mean? I just don't think you can teach a lesson of hitting with hitting. It goes back to you being an
authority figure, and then they're like, okay, well, then it's okay for authority figures to lock people up and hit them.
And I'm getting there. Ooh. Oh, I'm getting there. I don't have mercy there. Okay. Elizabeth Gershoff is an associate professor at the University of Texas at Austin. Yeah, Austin. And she's been studying corporal punishment for 15 years. And she is known as the leading researcher on spanking in the United States today. And over the years, she's done a systematic review of the hundreds of studies on the effects of corporal punishment. In 2013, she and her team reviewed the previous 2 decades of research and confirmed that children who are spanked are more likely to exhibit depression, anxiety, drug use, and aggression as they get older. And children who have suffered more severe corporal punishment, because here, there is a difference, guys. There's a difference between, you know, spanking Christians that are like doing a little spank on the bottom than like, you know, people who are just like savages and animals. And that is unacceptable.
And it's unfortunate because you can track this by geographical locations, communities, ethnicities, all these different things. And it's unfortunate to see really pretty strong associations, you know, even, you know, correlations and maybe even, oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, finish.
Oh, I was going to say between, you know, people who hit their kids more and those communities being more at risk for violent behavior and
that's just proof though. There's just, this has been proven. So, okay, so I'm just going to finish what I was reading real quick. Children who have suffered more severe corporal punishment have been shown to have less gray matter in their frontal cortex. Remember, that's the part that is responsible for self-regulation, and to have amygdalas that are more hyper-vigilant. So they're going to be much more reactive, and they're shown to be much more aggressive. So that is just that alone is a pretty good reason not to use that, because it doesn't work. It's not effective like we thought. Okay, so there's new information out here, guys. There's studies that have been done. Educate yourself so you just know whether or not what you're doing is the right thing. Now, let's talk about another fake consequence. I have one. Well, timeout or taking. Well, here's the thing. A lot of parents will take the you know, like what is it called? Ground them by like taking their stuff. Like, let's say like an iPad, right? Oh, you can't have your iPad. Well, first of all, that breaks our number one rule. So if I don't behave, Danny doesn't take my iPhone. He's like, you can't use your iPhone for a week.
We do things sometimes as adults that are similar, like we withhold love.
We withhold love from each other,
which is wrong as well. We do that with our kids sometimes. You know, that's one of the things. Like, you get so angry that you're just like, they've completely forgotten about the situation already, and you're here like still angry, and they have no idea what's going on. They're just.
And so again, here's the thing: when we do those things, I feel like the lesson is lost, because then it just becomes about the thing that you took. You know what I mean? You're gonna close off the child, because forget children, human beings in general have a very, very strong need for autonomy. And it's much stronger than anything. So they will fight for it no matter what, which is why we always fight to be free. And that's a thing. We have to be free. We're a free country. Freedom. Same thing for our kids. They're going to fight it tooth and nail, because they have that internal need as well for autonomy. And they too want to be, you know, respected. And you're going to lose the lesson. You're going to lose the lesson. So, let's talk about like a natural consequence, though. Can you think of one?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna do my son a favor, you know, and he's not helping me, it all comes down to all of our needs needing to be met. We overall are going to, as parents, have to be givers, like way over what they give us. We're not trying to keep score. We're going to be the givers, because we have to show them how important it is to give, be generous, be patient, and all those things. At the same time, everyone's needs need to be met. And, you know, since we do everything as a family, even all the way down to picking movies, you know, because we only watch one TV in the house. So that means that at night,
we all have to agree.
We do watch TV together, we all have to agree to it. So we're all always making compromises. So if Dean wants to watch something, we'll say, okay, how's this? 15 minutes? Is that okay? Then he'll agree. And then we'll go on to what Desmond wants to watch or what the rest of us want to watch. So if my needs are not being met, then a realistic consequence is that I'm not going to want to help the person who's not helping me. You know, that's a fact. You know, I have people in my life who like have done things that I'm just like, I don't care what this person does or says from this point on. I'm never going to really work with the person if it's a work situation or Maura's giving me a face because she knows that
he's ruthless, guys. Do not mess with Danny.
Listen, all
You're
I'm
dead to
saying
him.
is if you do something and it's even if it's a mistake, I say it's not, but even if it's a mistake, I am going to just write you off, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's on me.
And guess what, guys? Danny has a genetic in his DNA where he lacks empathy. It's proven in his DNA. So there you go. Yeah, I always suspected it, and it's been confirmed. He lacks so good at it. He lacks empathy.
So that's why, like with my wife, like my poor wife, let me tell you, my wife is
over empathetic.
Yeah, but you're really, really strong. But then you're still my wife, and I know who you are, and yet when these times come, I am ruthless, and I'm just like, no is no. This is what's up. This is what's happening, and it doesn't matter what you think. And like, I think it's probably not bad because there's some reality there where we're really being truthful with each other and we're not lying.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can handle it better, but I think lately I've been trying to get my point across in the least hurtful way possible. There's just sometimes you can't get around it because the truth hurts.
Yeah, the truth hurts. That's why they call it the ugly truth, not the pretty truth.
Yeah, and we're always saying that.
And that's why they say it. The truth hurts. There's a reason these slogans exist.
There's just others saying like the truth will set you free, but first it's going to really hurt, So if Desmond says to me, I want to shoot my BB gun later, can we go outside? Because we know that he can't just be out there by himself shooting a BB gun
in my neighborhood.
Not because of me. Because of me getting in trouble. Because let's face it, if my son wanted to shoot his BB gun, he knows how to handle the gun. I've taught him. He knows. He's actually pretty darn accurate with stuff. I would let him. But God forbid someone sees my son like, shooting a gun, and now we got cops, knocking on our door. So I gotta be whatever. So if he says that we're gonna shoot the gun later, and so
all right, so
he messes up. He does something where I'm like, Desmond, can you please pick up your socks off the floor and take your shoes out of the kitchen, please, buddy? And he doesn't do it, and it's at a point where like I'm very upset about it. I'm just gonna say, listen, it's really hard for me to help you and do something for you when you can't do something for me, and I don't want to shoot the gun.
And I have another quick example. So like, let's say you've asked your child to get ready, and they don't get ready. Well, they're going to leave the house looking the way that they look. Yeah. Okay. Like, no, I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not mad, but you gotta go. Or let's say you have a situation where someone was supposed to finish their homework and then they were going to go out with their friends or go have fun. Well, if you don't finish what you need to do, just like an adult, if you don't finish your work, you don't get to play. So
you just can't. And
here's where we call these real life consequences. So I always try to think of how this would apply in the real world. So, in the real world, no one's going to take anything from you. No one's going to ground you. Nobody's going to
break laws, but we're not.
But that's different. And our children are aware of that. Like,
most of the time,
don't break the law.
A lot of the time, there are these arbitrary things that are uncomfortable for us, like these kids climbing up on the table, and we'll talk about life or limb, but doing things that are for some reason inconvenient to you, or they're having a blast, but they're being really loud. Your first inclination is going to be to, guys, shut up. And
I've done that, which is why you guys see me with my headphones all the time.
And then I want you guys to really think about this. And I'm sorry if, again, I'm not trying to make people feel bad, but we've felt these emotions. So think of your child. If you have a child like for us, like Desmond, who is the happiest kid ever, and he's so excited to do what he's doing right now. And here comes the parent ruining his day
with their stress from their job and everything,
and just telling him like, shut up, or stop doing that.
You're basically killing their vibe.
Like, stop having fun. Yeah. Don't have fun. We do not want fun here. We want everybody to be in the same misery. We're all in this together.
Misery loves company. Let's talk about what would you say to people who say, I'm not your friend. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm the parent. What would you say to them?
I'm not his friend. I'm the parent. That's one that I hear.
I feel like, why can't you be both?
So often. Let me ask you this. I'm going to answer your question with a question. So when you have friends, you know, you have boundaries with your friends, don't you?
Yeah.
Your friends know that it's not cool to do things with you that are hurtful or that are gonna.
Well, who are the friends at this point that are still around? Are the ones that don't put up with your, hey guys, there was a time in my life where I was not a cool person to be around.
She hates herself way more than I think she should.
Listen,
because I've been around a lot of those nights. I was there.
But you were having the fun with me, so that's different. But like my nice friends from forever, you know, that I've grown up with, they weren't into the stuff I was into, and they didn't hang out with me, you know, like they didn't want to be around what I was doing, and that is perfectly fine. They're not going to enable my crappy behavior.
Yep.
And now we're all good. Now we're friends, and I had to apologize to everyone. And, you know, those are the friends that are still around because they don't enable your crappy behavior. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
And so you have boundaries with your children, which you want to be their friend. Their parent is the person who's responsible for them, the person who is trying to make sure that the world doesn't beat this child down and the world doesn't get in the way of them being their authentic self. We're going to say it over and over. I really just love that word. Authenticity is so huge. And so if I say, it's funny, I want you guys to hear this because my dad throws it in my face all the time. There was a time when, and I don't even know what the conversation is, but it was obvious that it made a huge impression on my dad. My dad's this big, tough, macho Cuban guy, but man, he can be sensitive. Like he has feelings, just like me. I got that from him. We feel, we get the feels. And like, he never forgets that this one time I told him, why don't you just be my father? Don't be my friend, just be my father or something. He threw that in my face, man. And like, he throws it in my face all the time.
He's like, you told me, bro.
And I was like, what I tell him is like, I didn't know what I was talking about.
Don't listen to me.
We want our parents to be the closest person with us because we spend the most time with them. We want to trust our parents. You want your parent, and that's one thing like that I love is that I can call my dad and tell him anything. Like, you know, even if it was like I murdered someone, I got an STD, which by the way, I neither.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just like giving wild examples.
I remember my mom telling me that, like,
feel like
even if you killed someone, I'll help you bury the body.
Yeah. Feel bad, but you know, like you want your children to trust you and you want that to happen because you know that you spend so much time with them and you know them so well, you know that you're going to be able to give them the best advice. So I don't agree with that. I think that the parent needs to be, of course, the parent, you know,
but also can still be
connect
a friend. So what we mean is, you know, not let your kids run wild and do whatever the heck they want because they're primal and they don't know how to act. So you have to teach them the right way. But we need to not do it in such a way that's just like so authoritarian.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next quote. I'm full of quotes, guys. It's just that I've read so many
and reread and taken notes and all that.
Yeah, we've read so many, like back in the day, when Desmond was little, probably like circa 2012, around there, we were really diving deep into this stuff. We would read everything we could, and everything Anna Martin would tell us to read, we would read it. Yeah. Everything we would see on like Mises.org or anything, we would read it because we just wanted to remind ourselves over and over and over and over and over so it could just get in there and be a normal thing for us. There's an amazing article, and it's probably so old. I don't even know how old this thing is. It's probably written
you're talking about the Herbert Spencer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was like in the 1800s.
Yeah, this guy knew what's going on. But anyways, he has an article, and we're gonna also link it because it is so good. You have to read this, guys. It's called On Moral Education, which is, basically how to raise your kids, and just thoughts. Like, it's a philosophical thing. And I want to read you this quote because this quote just stuck out to me. And it always has, and it's something that I always go back to. And this is what it says. Bear constantly in mind the truth that the aim of your discipline should be to produce a self-governing being, not to produce a being to be governed by others. Were your children fated to pass their lives as slaves, you could not too much accustom them to slavery during their childhood. But as they are by and by to be free men with no one to control their daily conduct, you cannot too much accustom them to self-control while they are still under your eye. Aim, therefore, to diminish the amount of parental government as fast as you can. Substitute for it in your child's mind that self-government arising from a foresight of results. So that's where the natural consequences come in, and letting your kids get hurt. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, obviously, not only physical pain and injuries, but failure in general is one thing that we really try to get into. Like I did it this weekend with Desmond. I knew that it was going to get hard. We hiked for 5.5 miles. It was super hot. We both got destroyed by mosquitoes. It was muddy. We were muddy from like the knees down. There was all types of stuff. We got lost. And when we did get lost, I wanted to get lost. I knew that I wanted to get lost. And I took it as an opportunity to say, hey, we're lost. I want you to know that. And I'm super excited about it because I wanted to get lost because I didn't want the option to go back. And I started to feel, because it was 3 hours long, and I started to feel right around the 2 hour and 30-minute mark, I started to see that, like little things starting to come in. You start to see them come in. And that's when you really got to really use that as a teaching moment and just say, look, ask some questions. That's what I did. Are we going to die today, Desmond? No. Am I going to let you get hurt, Desmond? No. Am I going to let myself get hurt? Am I going to put us in any type of danger? No. Okay. That being said, we're okay. We're good, right? Now, let me tell you something that I like to do when things get hard. And that's when we had the conversation about mantras.
Yeah.
And how the importance of a mantra. So a mantra is just a saying that you say over and over. And I used to do this all the way back in my CrossFit days. When things got hard, you picked a mantra and you just, it's like a meditation. It's a way to keep yourself in the present and to keep your mind from killing you. Your mind is a jerk sometimes. It's like, this is so hard.
Your body can do way more than what your mind
to quit.
thinks.
Yeah. And so, I heard him whispering in the back behind me because I was going forward.
He's so cute.
He wanted to hold hands for a little bit so that would slow me down. But then he realized that he couldn't slow me down. So he had to try to keep up. And so I heard him behind me. Like, it was almost like cute. He was trying different things out, different things. Oh my gosh, I loved it. And I'm hearing it. And I'm like, this is great. And then he finally said that he got it. And so he told me what it was. And I absolutely love it. I won't share it because I didn't ask him. But basically, life or limb is basically like if your child...
We don't risk life or limb. So you're not going to let your 3-year-old play with razor blades or anything like that.
If your 5-year-old is interested in fire, hello, my son, who's my son for a reason.
Give them an example,
I used to make...
pyros, little pyros. Pyromaniacs.
I used to make like bonfires in my backyard and destroy the lawn and stuff. And, we allow him under our supervision to play with what it is, the knife that I have.
Or give him a thing of matches and let him throw a million into the fire pit. Yeah.
And so all of those things are ways to, it goes back even to like when they're babies, when you're not doing everything for them, you're letting them learn how to feed themselves. You're letting them, and that's important. These are all like tiny little benchmarks that continue to increase their confidence because they're doing these things. Like, I can do this now. And
that's the case against helicopter parenting. I totally see the fear of helicopter parenting. I get it. I have those same fears. A lot of these fears, most of them, like 99% of them, are not real. They're not true.
How do you know that, Maura?
There's a website, guys, and if you go, there's crime stats. It's free range kids or letgrow.org. We got to have her on the podcast. One of my absolute funniest,
her
favorite people.
Her nickname is the worst mother in America.
Worst mother in America. She's amazing. But anyways, so, crime rates, all this stuff has gone down, guys. We just see it more because we live in a world where every time something happens, we hear about it. So we think that there's more crime, but there actually is less. And we're going to get into that in a whole other episode. I don't even want to go there, but for example, we don't risk life or limb, but if your children, back to that quote, the whole point of that quote is saying like, your kids are going to leave your house one day. Mommy is not going to be there to help them or to say, be careful. So you have to expose them to as many opportunities to fail while they're young and while the consequences aren't so bad. So that way, when they're older, they don't make bigger mistakes or get hurt. And so one of the things is it's such a simple way to do it. Like at the playground, let your kid, these playgrounds these days aren't even built like the way we grew up. Like the playgrounds that I grew up playing in are illegal now. Okay. Yeah. So don't worry. Everything is like cushion floor. Even if your kid does fall, like they're probably not even going to get hurt, but let your kids do things that are kind of scary to them. Be there. So for example, there's like this big ladder thing that at one of our parks that all the parents are always like, oh, don't climb that. And the kid is like doing it perfectly. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. You know, it looks scary, but your kid looks comfortable doing it. The first few times Dean needed my assistance and I show him how to do it. So show your children how to properly climb up these ladders, how to use these pieces of equipment instead of just saying like, no. And then, you know, they still have that, they're going to want to do it behind your back and then they don't know how. And then they really might get hurt, you know? So it's better to show them how to properly cut, you know, Desmond can cut his steak with a sharp knife. And I showed him how, things like that.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, look, it happened. We've been doing it from an early age. Our kids are awesome tree climbers. Our kids are very strong in different situations that other kids may not be. And we tend to nowadays gravitate towards parents who are like us and we have several of them that we're so thankful for. Like Ben is one example. We used to have Luke and Amy, who were the best. Two of our
they're
friends,
so great.
Who we wish were local because they're both paramedics. So that's an awesome thing to have because
like if something does happen.
I got rhabdo once and they set me up with, I got rhabdo from CrossFit. If you know what rhabdomyolysis is, it's terrible. And I got that and they hooked me up. And so when we're like in these situations, we know that we're in a safe place and we can continue to like talk and have conversation and our much needed parent break while our kids are pulling each other's hair and hitting each other and screaming because we know that both sides are cool with it and we know that we're just going to let them resolve it on their own unless it gets bad and of course we got to step in. But in reality, it's really never like a fight. It's usually like something where the kids are on top of like the playhouse and they're like jumping and being Superman and like they got sticks and they're fighting, you know?
Yeah, like I feel like for the most part, most kids, their natural sense of fear, I mean, human beings have fear. Like they don't want to die. Yeah. So your children have that too. So they're not going to
tell them the story about Dean because that's an interesting.
What is it?
So Dean used to have no fear because he hadn't learned consequences of things that happened. But the first time he learned, it was a mannequin that he climbed on top of a mannequin in the middle of a mall. And it fell on him and it freaked him out. And ever since that point, it switched on. Oh crap. I can get hurt. Things can happen.
And he doesn't touch them anymore.
He doesn't touch them. He doesn't he's very, very cautious. You know, Desmond's a little bit slower with that stuff just because he doesn't care. He's just like, you know, he'll cry and everything, but then he'll go right back. He's like Homer touching the stove over and over. Ow, ow, ow.
Really?
Ow. Yeah, Desmond doesn't care. Like,
yeah, he actually because I put something in an outlet twice. I thought he was going to learn the first time. But he did learn the second time, though.
By the way, he put something in a bag the other day that was wet.
Mushrooms.
And then he put them in the bowl, and it stunk so bad.
I meant to move that. It's like rotten mushrooms.
Did I throw it away? I might have thrown it away. It was so disgusting. I'm sorry.
It was literally mushrooms that he picked on our walk the other day. Do you remember?
Yes. The problem is that he does projects
all day.
All
day is an experiment.
He forgets about them, and then he turns the house into a dumpster.
And then they rot.
So yeah, like we just we allow them to explore, we allow them to fail. We actually, again, like I said, we put them in situations where they can fail. It's okay to fail. Failure's good.
And here's the thing: if they fall and scrape their knee, it's not the end of the world. A little, you know, and we don't make big deals out of it either. You know, like okay, here, let's just wipe it off. You're fine. Go ahead, keep go. You can go. Can you still play? You can walk. You're good? All right. We can keep going.
Yeah, and then like that's the thing. That's where we continue to be vocal with them. I'm trying to remember.
And that's where our reactions are super important. You know, if you're like, blood, like your kid's going to think that they're dying from a little cut. You know what I mean? So just try to chill out.
Let me mention a book because we didn't mention this one. And this one was amazing. I don't know if you finished reading it, but it's The Gift of Failure.
I haven't started.
How the Best Parents Learn to Let Go So Their Children Can Succeed by Jessica Leahi. It's read by her too. I love when the authors read their own books because it's awesome. Oh,
I'm also going to share the clip of John Taylor Gatto talking about Richard Branson. If you don't know who Richard Branson is, the rebel billionaire. He owns his own island. He's the owner of Virgin Records and Amazing.
He owns his own island.
Amazing person.
He lives a life free from the shackles of all like the mental issues that we have.
He's a very, very smart person. Anyways, his mother, I'm not saying I would do this. And this, you can't do this with every child. And the situation was, specific to her. And you can't do this in the middle of a city probably. But she basically let him find his way home one day. At 4 years old. I mean, that's Dean, 4 years old. Like, find your way home 9 miles out from home in the middle of country in England. And he did it. But anyways, I'm going to put a clip to that. John Taylor Gatto talking about that story. Because it's just mind blowing. Like when you give children, people are more capable than you think. You know what I mean? So
I'll give him an example for me. When I got to Colombia, my high school education was not great. I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I had a lot of censorship, even in literature. Like I couldn't read because I went to a Christian high school. And I had a lot of things that I
Censored.
never, and I didn't learn. And when I show up to Colombia, I'm a little bit,
which is like liberal,
intimidated. And and of course, but all these kids have been reading everything and doing everything and groomed their whole lives. I mean, this is the year that I got into Colombia, it was the most selective they've ever been. It was like a 9%.
You're so cool. Rate. You're so smart.
And I got there. And I was taking my first semester, 17 credits, football, two work study jobs. And I got a 3.4. And then the next semester, I had no football. I had spring football for like a month and a half. And I had my jobs, but I was taking 13 credits and I had a 2.8. And that's that example of like putting myself in a position where I have to thrive versus at the time being a young kid and being like, oh, I'm chill now, I'm good, and taking the foot off the gas and going into cruise control. And so with our kids, we actively look for ways to do that. And, for instance, Desmond, I felt like the gratitude was not present. And so 3 weekends in a row, he had to, that was
serve.
Like a few months ago, he had to serve 3 weekends in a row. We did a community service 3 weekends in a row. I have to mention another book so we put the Gift of Failure that you can add to that. And then the other one is The Dad's Edge, which is written by Larry Hagner. Amazing. Also, podcast by the same name. It used to be called The Good Dad Project, but I think he brought it in line with his brand. And it's 9 simple ways to have unlimited patience, improved relationships, and positive lasting memories. That's another great book. And hold on, because I want to make sure that we have all of them. The 4 Agreements is something that the kids, when they're old enough, we should, we read that with the boys. That was great. And we had conversations about it.
So good.
Way of the Warrior Kid, and then The Way of the Warrior Kid 2. Those are 2 huge ones.
That one's awesome.
And I think that's on top of the other ones that we talked about. I think that is enough for books.
Yeah, let's, because I know this is going to be a long episode. So let's get into our final little topics that I think are super important because it's very relevant to parenting. So, Danny, I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Okay.
Give me a simple answer.
I don't know if I could do that.
I might not include Dean in this yet because he's still learning.
Okay.
Did we make Desmond share?
No, of course not.
Does he share?
A lot. Oh my gosh, yeah, very, very generous.
He gave his brother $5 the other day. Well, he didn't give it to him; it was value for a bar, for an RX bar.
He wanted an RX bar that Dean was not having and probably wasn't going to have anyway. But
it was literally like a little piece. Oh my gosh,
it was a piece.
So
and
funny.
I said, Des, that's a lot of money for that little bar, man. It's not even a full bar.
Value is subjective.
Exactly, value is subjective. But that wasn't the point with him with that answer, because if he would have said, yeah, but it's worth $5 to me right now, then that's a great answer. But he had another great answer, which was basically like, you know what, Papa? He said, you know what, Papi? He deserves it.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Plus, he's my brother.
Yeah.
And I was like,
he's better than me.
That's why if we can also think of our children in a way that this is how I view my kids, because the person I am is
I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Assume positive intent.
That's one thing. Of course, you want to make sure that your child is not Damien from The Omen. Your child is not the devil incarnate.
Assume the best.
And your child, it doesn't have these complex thoughts of like how they're going to ruin
sabotaging
your life
whole life.
They may have some primal instincts to like, get at you and things like that. But at the end of the day, they're still not evil. Okay.
No, they're not.
So, but the other thing that I was going to say, going deeper than that, is that our children are our greatest teachers. They are our awakeners. That's why this awakening, the awakened parent is, the awakened family is just so amazing.
I know she was talking about that. Like, and I totally agree. One of my good friends, Ivana, told me that like you want to grow, have some kids.
That's why
you want to grow as a person.
Again, I'm going to try as much as possible on this podcast not to get controversial with politics or religion, but you can say what you want about religions and different religions, but like one person, for instance, for me, like that is beyond, there's nothing bad you can say about him really, is Jesus. And Jesus always talked about
children.
Jesus Christ is be like a child. And it's true. Children.
Maria Montessori also speaks very highly of children.
And that's, Montessori.
And it shows through her methods.
We got to add that. Did you add those books?
No, but I feel like that's more for education.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's talk a little bit about the types of sharing that we're going to referring to, because that's what we were talking about. So let's first talk about when it's like their stuff. So first, I'm going to mention that in my house, we like to keep it minimalistic, and we also want our children, which we've talked about this before, is we want them to know the value of stuff and money. And so we pretty much make them earn their own money and they buy their own stuff. So the toys that they've bought are theirs, that they've earned the money. Of course they get gifts, and there's a lot of gifts that come in sometimes, but for the most part, their stuff is theirs. They bought it with their own money, and that means something. So it's special to them. So they do not have to share their stuff. Yep. Now, if we have a friend coming over, we always do, we talk to them beforehand and we say, listen, there's going to be friends coming over. And just like when you go to their house, you want for them to share their toys. We want them to share because they like what happens when they share, not because they're just share.
And it's a golden rule. You want to put yourself in his position and be like, if I was him coming to my friend's house, I would want to play with that.
Right.
And if it was me going to his house, I'd want him to share with me.
Right. So we always let them know if there's anything that is very, very special to them that they don't want to share, to be put away. And so we give them that option. They'll put away, and then they agree, like whatever's out, that you got to share. And we always remind them if they try to change their mind later, that they agreed to share those things. And they're pretty good with that most of the time. Dean is still learning. Dean is Dean, and he's still learning. And
he should come with terms subject to change.
And and in a way, I get Dean because he's a lot like me, so I just understand him a lot. And it's like, you see how I am with my stuff. When you touch my stuff, what do I do? I'm like, what are you doing? Don't touch my stuff, because I'm just and it's not I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm a minimum. Do I buy things? No, I don't buy anything. A t-shirt that cost me $7 at Forever 21 will last me 4 years. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Because I won't put it in the dryer, because that's the first mistake. And I take very good care. I take very good care of my things because really I don't like to buy things, because spending money gives me anxiety. So I don't like to buy stuff. I like to be frugal. I like to buy good things that last me. So don't touch me or come near me with your greasy hands if I'm head to toe in my Lululemon. I don't even cook in that. Because it lasts me for the rest of my entire life. Okay. And so I kind of feel like Dean is a little bit like that. He always knows where his things are. He takes very good care of his stuff. He doesn't lose anything. So he's like that. So I respect that, but he's pretty good about keeping his agreements.
He really is good at keeping his stuff.
He's keeping his agreements.
He knows where everything is.
Now, I want to give you guys a point of view. If you are like, oh, I don't know, but they should share. If someone comes to my house, they're not like, hey, can I get that dress in your closet? Or can I borrow your phone? Yeah. Well, if they want to borrow my phone, they can use it, but they're not going to be like, yeah, let me borrow that thing, can I borrow that pot you're cooking with? It just doesn't happen.
Or if there's something that you love in your house,
can I take gadget,
this? They'll be like, it's not normal for an adult to say, is it my turn yet?
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
No,
You've
it's
been
not.
on there long enough. Can you?
Which brings us to the next problem with the sharing thing, a community toy. And this is one where I know that a lot of people don't agree with me, and I don't really care that much, because here's the truth. When it comes to a community toy, of course, we always express that it is nice to share, and we shouldn't take forever on something because there is a line, and it never even happens. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. When you make kids share, they're more graspy. They have no idea when their turn is going to end because they always have arbitrary turns, 1 minute, 2 minutes. They always have these. So they can't even enjoy their turn because they're so scared that it's going to end. And they're like, you can see it. They're like looking around. Who's coming? Who's going to come snatch my turn? An authority figure. Here we go with the authority again. An authority figure at any moment can come snatch my... What is that? That sounds like something in this world. And how about... I'm like, that sounds like something else in this world.
Yeah, it's just preparing them for later on when they're going to have their money stolen from them.
Yeah, anyways. The taxes. Anyway, taxation is theft.
Taxation, yeah, 100%.
100% theft.
But so like that's the problem also too. Not only are you teaching them to fear that authority, you're also teaching them to rely on that authority when they're in the other kid's position. So like some other kids using a toy longer than they think is necessary, they'll come up to me. Come get an adult.
Oh, it's happened.
Yeah,
I've had a kid come up to me,
right?
Yeah. So here's the deal with a community toy. If my child wants to use it, and
it's free. No one's on it right now.
No one's on it. They're going to use it for as long as they would like until they're done. Now, if there's someone waiting, I will let my child know, hey, so-and-so is waiting. Can you let him know when you're done so that he can have a turn? Right away, that fight, there's no fight. There's no winning. So they might be on it for like another minute.
It really is only to inform them that there's someone there. It doesn't mean...
Yeah, and you see them. They'll look back. They play a little longer. And then they're done, you know. Sometimes they might play very long, and that's because they're very interested in that thing. And you know what? That's okay too.
Yep.
And so in a real life situation of this, so that you guys can see where I'm coming from, if I'm at the gym and I want to use the Smith machine for my whole workout, nobody comes up to me and says, it's my turn. Now, if I see that someone's waiting because I'm a nice person, I might be like, you know what? I don't need to do my lunges here. I can do them over there. But the truth is that I don't have to leave. Like you know what I mean? So,
and some people who are used to it, they'll be like, they'll have little temper tantrums.
Right. And now if someone does want to just be on this one Smith machine for like 2 hours straight, then, you know, that's their problem. And maybe they don't have friends. And that's okay, because there are people that are like that. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I'm not like that. The truth is that nobody's going to come up to me and say, it's my turn for those dumbbells. You know, they might ask, you'd ask differently, right? You ask nicely. You're like, hey, when you're done, let me know when you're done. And that's actually what happens in real life, because I actually don't really have adults come up to me like, my turn. No, that's not what we say. We say, hey, when you're done, can you let me know so that I can grab that machine? And that's how we do it with our children. Hey, listen, this so-and-so's waiting. Can you just let them know when you're done? How much longer do you think? Sometimes if I see that they're like, there's a lot of kids waiting and it's like a really popular thing, I'm like, how long do you think, you know, I'll have them pick a time limit, and then, you know, we'll go from there. So that's how we feel about sharing, because I know that's like a hot topic.
There's so many that we can go into, but since we're just like kind of giving them our philosophy, we're just giving them like the main ones. I wanted to do one more before we close up, because we've been going kind of long, but I love it because this is what we love. This is our biggest passion.
This is my fave.
Besides the unschooling too, but it's all related to this.
Yeah.
Is the importance of being present with your child, not only like by paying attention to them and having true interest in them, but also being present with them and accepting them who they are as who they are in the present. You know, the whole thing with potential, I mentioned that, I put that in the notes, and that's another thing from this recent book. And that's talking about when we're so focused on our child's potential, you know, and who they could become. Not only is it telling them to not be present in the present, but it's telling them that who they are
is not okay.
And we're waiting for them to become that person in the future. So when we talk about potential, you know, you break the word down, and potent is not a word of the future. Potent is something that's potent now. It's something that's powerful now. So if we are talking about potential, then we can talk about our child's potential to be who they are. That's okay. That I can take, because that's like, okay, what do I love about my child? What does my child love about themselves? What are their qualities that you can observe in them that are awesome? And if they're not acting that way, then if you're talking about potential, then that makes sense. But if you're talking about how, you think that your child needs to learn an instrument because that's going to help them be more well-rounded, and it just so happens that you love piano, so you want them to be in the piano, and you put them in that, or a sport or whatever, then if that's not their choice, then you are taking away from their autonomy, and you're teaching them that it's totally okay to just submit to others. And a lot of kids will break. You will break them like a wild horse.
It's like the analogy of the fleas.
Yeah,
John Taylor Gatto.
That's John Taylor Gatto.
He's one of my favorite people.
Yep, amazing person. You'll hear that on the unschooling episode for sure.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, he just talks about, if you take a bunch of fleas and you put them in a jar and you cover it, at first they'll jump around like crazy, but eventually
docile.
They just become docile, and you can pretty much
the
and then you can take off the lid and they won't even jump out, and that's just breaking their will. And we tend to do that to children.
And
sometimes.
we see that with kids too, like where it's like a Pavlov response. When the parent goes 1, you see the kid like, oh, behavior modification time, must shut down. Like, and it's like before they get to that 3, because when 3 happens, that's bad. We don't want 3. So let's do the programmed response that we learned. And that's just that's sad to me when a kid gets to that point, because, it's just not realistic. It's not, and so there are times in life when we have to sacrifice our wants for a bigger goal, but there should never be a time when we sacrifice who we are. Just never. It's never right. I mean,
and what you're saying kind of reminds me of, I don't even remember where I heard this. It probably was Anna. I don't know. I feel like everything comes from 3 places.
Yeah.
But it's about their future, like their potential and all of that, and who they are now. But I heard someone say that we should treat them and talk to them as if they were already those people.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, you know what I mean?
But and they are.
And it encourages them to become that.
That's the person who they are. That's we don't look. The more that a child realizes how internal the worth is, and it's not based on external things, you are loved. Loved, cared for, because this, and this. That is developing confidence. That's developing manners, and just being someone. Look, I'll say it. I'm very confident, and I think that helps me be nice. I'm confident. I'm not cocky. If I do act cocky, it's just an act. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
I do have an ego, very strong one that I have to keep in check, but I do keep it in check.
We all have strong egos, though.
Yeah. So, just making sure, bringing it back around to the importance of the child's needs and wants and who they are at their core, taking it as an opportunity to explore who this person is and what their beautiful God-given personality and gifts and passions are, and having the pride also, even if you want to feed your ego a little bit, to know that you know that person that well, and also knowing that because you know them that well, you can help them. You'll be able to help them with the best advice.
Right.
I have here in my notes the thing about no. What were you saying?
Yeah, we should just talk about that real quick before we close.
Yeah.
It's already super long,
coming up
which
on
is
an hour and a half.
Totally fine. I don't mind. If you're still listening, props to you.
So no. So
okay, I just want to, because I didn't want to say I was going to talk about it and then not. So really quick, this is kind of just like a hack. It's like a parent hack. Try as best you can. And it is hard. And honestly, guys, I'm slacking right now because my kids do a lot of no things.
Yeah.
So try as much as you can to limit the use of the word no. And the reason that we are saying this is because it really loses its power. It loses its power. You want for your kids, like when you say no, for them to stop in their tracks and be like, this must be bad.
This must be bad. I trust them.
Because they never hear it and because they know that it's reserved for serious stuff. So just try to practice saying yes, even if that means not right now. So like, oh, can we go here? Yes. Let's look at our schedule for when we can fit that in.
Yeah.
Instead of right away, no, not today. Like just try to limit the use of that word because it just loses its power. And that's what I'm working on right now. My kids don't listen because I say it too much sometimes because it's just like a knee-jerk reaction. Like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
And so like another thing you can do is like, instead of just like, no, get down, like notice how high up you are right now, like have them observe their environment, like just give them cues to observe and make their own decisions instead of just being like, get down because it's dangerous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense, guys.
No, they understand it. They'll look, if you're a parent, especially, you're going to think of 50 million situations, or at least if they're not the actual situations, you're going to know, oh yeah, I've done that a ton of times. Yeah. I've done it a million times.
Yeah. Or like, can I buy this toy? Yes. How can I help you earn the money?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Because automatically you're thinking that the kid is asking you to buy him something, which they may be. And I don't fault Desmond. We always laugh about it because he asks for absurd things. But I'm like, we both have thought about it, like, and we're like,
can I have a what is it? A VR?
Yeah,
virtual
VR,
reality.
like, what is it, $1,000 or something? Yeah. And like, and I'm like,
and sometimes no is like, no, man.
Yeah, like not even. Come on, you're crazy. Like he saw this awesome knife that guy showed us the other day. It was $450, and now he wants to buy that knife.
I know, but you see, instead of saying no, we could just let him know. Well, here's the cost. You can totally earn the money if you want.
Yeah, but like enjoy. There's that whole like no thing.
It's honestly a habit. You just got to get out of the habit. It's totally a habit.
It's like no, because it's your ego again. It's your child, as your awakener, as your teacher, is going to be the mirror that reflects all of your terrible things and character flaws.
Totally.
And you need to embrace that because he's here to help you. She's here to help you. And so when your child acts out in a way that you think is, oh, it's terrible. I can't believe this.
And it probably is terrible.
Realize that they probably learned it from you. And even if they didn't, or it's still, just look at it as an opportunity for both of you to grow. So, because it's also an opportunity for the parent to control themselves, to not handle the situation in such a drastic way, and to use it as a learning opportunity to just calmly address the child. And it works so much better, guys. Ben is super good at doing that. Yeah. And I've been like pretty good at it lately. I've been really focusing on, especially, it works really well because if both parents need to be on board. That's no question. Sorry, you cannot do this alone. It's going to be very, very hard. It takes two
for a reason.
Because also there are times when I am burnt out and I'm just like, and I'm not going to have it. And Maura can step in. And there are times when I'm very burnt out from doing this all day, and I can step in and do it. And, it's awesome to have that because the child is so focused on the what's happening with the parent who's maybe burnt out, that when someone else comes in and addresses their needs,
they calm down right away.
They calm down. How many times has that
happened
lately with Dean? Like in the last several days.
Exactly. So, man, I wanted to say something and I forgot.
Okay, we were talking about how it's an opportunity for you to get better and show patience when they act that way.
Gone.
Sorry, it's gone.
Gone.
So, what should we say in closing? I mean, anything jumps out to you?
No, I think this is super fun. The kids are outside the door. Yeah, I just hope that you guys take this and just think about it and let us know your thoughts, honestly. Let us know.
I mean, we're not going to change at all, but...
Well, I mean, I don't ever want to say that because even within my own...
I'm never an authoritarian parent.
No,
I'll
never.
Say that for a fact.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But I can respect different points of views like Jordan Peterson in his 12 Rules for Life, which talks about, don't be someone... What was that rule? Like, don't be someone people hate?
No, don't let your kids do something that makes you not like them.
Oh, so it was specifically the rule was for your kids? Okay, I thought the rule was more broad, and it was like
it was specifically for children, which is great that he addressed that. So
yeah, so that's that one. I didn't quite agree with him on a lot of that stuff, but I understand.
But I understood his point of view, and I think that the way that he goes about it is a good way.
Yeah,
yeah, that it's effective. So yeah, I hope you guys love this episode. We had so much fun recording it. This is like we could totally talk about this for like the next 4 hours.
Well, I know a lot of the people on our list that we have are talking on this subject. So
yeah, we can't wait to start having guests on and get you guys familiarized and acquainted with some of these people that we're always talking about. I mean, some of them, sorry, are probably never going to hear John Taylor Gatto on my podcast, unfortunately.
Besides,
I'm going to shoot it.
He's older too, and he talks really slow now. So
he's a doll. I love him.
I love him though.
So awesome. But yeah. But you can Google him and YouTube, and there's plenty of stuff.
I'm intimidated by that one. We have to do that one maybe next week. We're not doing that one next week because tomorrow we're recording with Rachel, which will be our first guest.
Fun.
And then we will have actually, since tomorrow will be episode 5 that we will be publishing these soon. So, I mean, by the time you guys get this, you have probably heard the other intro episodes. But for us, this is really exciting because we haven't put any of these up yet.
Yeah.
So Rachel will be our first guest because we're super excited about doing a Fat Fuel family program. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a huge undertaking because we want to do like
everything.
3 weeks to a month of meal plan. We want to do workouts. We want to do mindset, all the stuff that we love. And who knows, maybe this will be something that we can do like ongoing that's updated, like a new version to continue to like enhance, which to me seems good because it's like, let's get something out there to help people. Then let's start to dig deeper into like different things.
I remember one thing now.
Yes.
So sorry because it's so over time.
No.
I don't even know if you can go over. It's just whatever I want.
No. Listen, Joe Rogan goes for 3 hours plus.
True that.
We're only an hour and a half.
Oh, let me sit back then and enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
We're doing the Cuban thing where we say goodbye for like an hour.
I want to share something that has helped us. And it's something so simple and it isn't. It can be hard at first because you don't realize how connected you are until you try to disconnect. So just being that we live in the world that we do and the time that we do, there's a lot of awesome things about having all the information that you want at your fingertips, a lot of really good stuff. But we're always so distracted, so connected. And I can't tell you how much it hurts when my kids tell me to not look at my phone. I can't even tell you.
Yeah,
so something that I think is so effective and we've been trying to do is just to have, and it doesn't even take that long, guys. Kids are not that needy. They don't need you that much, but just a little bit, 15 to 20 minutes a day, put down your phone and play. Like get on the floor, play with them, play a card game, play whatever game they want to play.
Let's play Uno today.
Without your phone.
Yeah.
Where you're not looking at your phone. It makes such a world of difference. They get what they need. Fill their cup.
And they're so happy and cooperative. And it's like,
fill their cup so that way yours can be full too.
And
if you don't fill their cup, and they're just walking around empty because my mom isn't paying attention to me. And look, we're all guilty of this. I am always looking at my phone when people are talking to me because it's just like a habit and there's like things to do and, but there's something so freeing about one, forgetting about it and putting it down and in the other room where you don't even know where it is for 15 to 20 minutes and just sitting there looking at your children in the eyes and playing with them. There's just that connection is what's going to help your children cooperate.
Let me tell you.
They're not going to cooperate if they don't feel connected to you.
And let me tell you, with Dean spending all those days with him at home, because Maura would take Desmond to the gym so that Desmond wasn't dying of cabin fever when Dean was recovering and spending hours. There were days when hours would pass and I don't know where they went. I'm blown away by it in a really good way because I'm just like, I kind of have a good gauge on time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, we just played for 2 hours straight with no break and there was nothing. And in those times, and I want you all to do this too, I really want you guys to do this, is take a second and as your child is talking to you, look at them in the eye and look at how beautiful that child is and just be so thankful and grateful for that child's existence. For me,
and remember
that
there
only
was
times when I can get like teary-eyed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard for me, but thinking about that I almost lost my son and he may not be here today was just, that's what memento mori means. That is what we mean by you may die at any time. And gosh, man, if you die unexpectedly, you're not going to know like about it. You're going to be gone, but your child is going to even have the regret that they didn't have that connection that they wanted because you couldn't get over yourself for a minute. I'm sorry. It's just not.
Yeah. Well, we've had an experience recently that's really.
But even before then, we were
Well, something that I would always try to think about, and we've all been there, but like, remember, like it's this meme that I see all the time, and it's so true. Like, I remember the days where I prayed for what I have now.
Oh yeah. I remember that. I remember you sharing that, and you share it like every year now. I want to say,
and especially with Dean, who's like our hard, quote unquote, more difficult.
Yeah, because it took
he's more feisty.
Months to get
so
him,
yeah, we tried so hard.
That was Maura's
like
fault. It's all your fault.
We tried so hard, like to have him like and it took so many months. And like
we didn't
now when and so
you were in your head.
So I try to remember that. Like, man, I tried so hard to have him, and now what? I'm annoyed. No.
Yeah. I want to share 3 more. One of them you haven't heard, which you're going to love this. I have a reminder for it this week, and it'll be actually every year I'd like to do it. So the first 2 things are related. One of them is story time, which I try to do, but a lot of the times the boys, I have to do a better job of finding content that they like. Even if
you try to read these stories that I'm like, no.
Well, no, the thing is sometimes I'll look for things that are of the subjects that they want, and then they still don't want it. They think they want it. So that's one thing. But regardless,
their attention span is not what you think.
Story time is important. And the other thing is bedtime meditation / stories on the Calm app. Yeah. So those are huge. We love those. And then the last one, Ben told me about this yesterday. He texted me about this. This is the conversations that I have with Ben. And when I say Ben, you guys should know it's Ben Pekulski, who's become like my best friend.
Slash boyfriend.
If Robert's listening, don't get jealous.
Don't get jealous.
Robert's okay. Still my main squeeze too. It's just they both hold a very special place in my heart. And so he told me, he's like, have you ever written your son a letter? And I was like, no. I'm like, tell me about this. He goes, you just write them a letter and you open it when they're 16. You have them open it when they're 16.
That's really good.
He's like, I've been doing it since they were young. So I'm like,
so how many letters does he do? 1 a year?
I didn't ask him that.
Because it's a lot of letters.
I'm thinking 1 a year.
One a year on their birthday.
Yeah.
On their birthday.
I was going to write one this week, but actually their birthday was the right.
So you could do it for this year since you didn't start? Like,
yeah, I'm going to do it this week.
Since their birthday's just passed?
And then I'm going to put the next one, the reminder for either child's
I should
birthday.
do it too, like one for mom. Oh, that's so cute.
That's so good. And so these are things that, like, traditions are huge, that we're just going to keep on talking till we stop forgetting about things that we do, because there's a lot of things. Traditions are huge for us. We want to have traditions because we know that children have such good memories.
No, you remember those things.
Yeah.
I always remember tradition. Things that, one thing that I always did with my mom, like and I don't know why I always remember this, and it was like a fun time. It's just like, as a teenager, it was just me, my mom, and my sister, and like all the 3 girls, and we would always go to Dateland, like shopping on the weekends, even if we wouldn't buy stuff, but like just going to the mall, having lunch, just doing that on the weekends was like, I couldn't wait. It was just like a thing, you know, and like it's fun. Like, and
we have papi days and mommy days, and they love them. Papi days, it doesn't have to be a whole day. These kids are good with a 2-hour papi day, a 1 hour papi. Like, I took Dean when last week they had Desmond and Maura had dental appointments, and I was going to be with Dean for a few hours because then they were going to go to Desmond's martial arts. So it was going to be like 2.5 hours. So I was like, I told Maura, I'm going to take him to Chuck E. Cheese. The kid loves Chuck E. Cheese. So I'm like, we're going somewhere. And I'm like having him guess about it. He has no idea. He's thinking we're buying toys because there's so many toys coming in lately. He's got his mind on the toys. And finally, when we get there, he gets so excited. And then we played 3 first-person shooter games together, and we killed it together. Like, we really played really well, both of us. And like, we gave each other high fives, and like, trust me, he remembers that, and all those things, they build up over time. So having these yearly trips are a huge way. We're super excited because we're going to go to Arizona to visit F-Bomb and record some stuff with them in the beginning of October. And then we're super excited. More excited, I'm going to say, because of the fact that it's in Ohio and it's in the fall.
No, I'm excited about Arizona. I'm excited about both for different reasons.
But I'm more excited about, because I just love the fall. And I we're going to be in Amish country.
Want to go somewhere that looks like Mars.
Oh,
which is Arizona.
Be
it looks like straight up Mars. Especially Sedona.
And the kids love it. And it's funny because we've gone on several trips with them already. They've gone to New York. They've seen it. They've gone to Austin twice for KetoCon. And they still love
we find that to be
Gorge in Georgia, northern Georgia to be.
Would you say that we find traveling, and I know it can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
But I feel like traveling is super important to us because it's just very important for me, for my children, to see the world, the real world, for what it truly is, not what they tell you it is.
Yeah.
Other parts, other countries, other cultures.
They wouldn't even
religions.
know what is said about other cultures because we don't talk about that in this house. We don't
watch the news or any of that
stuff. We don't watch
stuff.
the news, so they wouldn't have any of those so they would be able to see, they'll have their first
Can you
impression.
imagine listening to that? You're like, no wonder people are just like
not trusting. They think that they leave the country, they're gonna die. Yeah. So,
but anyways,
that's
travel if you can, because there's no better learning than that.
Yeah. But
I think we're out of ideas.
I think that's it. I mean, we'll cover more, but that is our parenting philosophy in a very small nutshell.
Please,
it's a lot more.
Subscribe if you love it. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think about this episode. Can you put comments in these episodes?
Yeah, in our blog.
Put comments and let us know what some of your traditions are, what some of your philosophies are. We love reading about other people's.
Yeah, because
I love it because I get ideas. Yeah, we can incorporate.
Like the joy jar is another one that we do. Like we haven't put anything in the joy jar in a while, but when really cool things happen, we write them down and we fold them up and we put them in this big jar. And then
Danny puts like one every day. I'm like, no, stop.
I haven't put them in a while.
He was doing one like every day. I'm like, dude, it's not a joy jar. It's like your diary.
I know, but I wasn't putting them every day. But like, there's so many things to be grateful for, and it's like on New Year's Eve. Reading that with your kids, it's like a joyous occasion.
We actually put Dean's hospital bracelets in.
Oh, yeah.
It is joyful that he's alive.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
So an hour and 45 minutes later.
If you're still listening, you guys are, thank you so much. You're loyal.
Listen, this is a good,
you guys are loyal.
An important subject, and a lot of people may not know about it. So
yeah.
Don't worry. There's going to be articles on the blog about this. All of this stuff is literally the tip top of the iceberg. You have no idea, because again, this is,
and we're going to dive deep into some of these different subjects with other guests.
Yeah.
So hope you guys loved it.
I'm just being
staring
awkward
at me. Why is he so weird?
No, I think that's it. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.